So as we have seen earlier in the previous video, and as we've explained, the heart is a pump. It's actually a dual pump that circulates blood throughout the body and into the lungs. Additionally, each pump of the heart has two chambers, a smaller one known as the atria and a larger one known as the ventricle. Just a quick note, if you want to interact with the heart model on the right in 3D, check our app 3D Heart Anatomy. Or if you want to immerse yourself in anatomy like never before in extended reality, check XR Heart Anatomy, link in the description. Therefore, here are the atria. This is the right atrium and this is the left atrium. Then in front of them are the ventricles. This is the right ventricle and this is the left ventricle. First, let's look at the atria. The atria are these two chambers here. To better see them, we're going to go to an in situ model, so we can see that the atria are positioned behind the ventricles. Whenever the ventricles are in diastole, meaning they are relaxed, the atria will be in systole, meaning they will contract. This contraction forces more blood into the ventricles, making it possible to push blood outside the heart more efficiently. Now let's isolate the atria and take a closer look. Here are the atria. Here's the right atrium and here's the left atrium. The right atrium receives blood from the lower part of the body via the inferior vena cava, and from the upper part of the body via the superior vena cava. These veins, known as the coronary veins, take blood from the myocardium, which is the heart muscle, and return it to the heart. The left atrium receives blood via these veins here, the pulmonary veins. You probably notice that in this model, their color is brighter. That's because these particular veins bring oxygenated blood back to the heart. The ventricles are pivotal components of the heart, serving as its main pumps. Their primary function is to propel blood throughout the body. This propulsion is achieved through a mechanism known as ventricular systole, during which the ventricles contract, pushing blood out in the great arteries. Essentially, the ventricles generate the force needed for the circulation of blood. The right ventricle is the main pumping chamber on the right side of the heart. Its most important job is to send deoxygenated blood to the lungs through the pulmonary artery. Conversely, the left ventricle is tasked with pumping oxygenated blood to the rest of the body through the aorta. As you might have noticed by now, blood moves in one direction, from the atria into the ventricles. When the ventricles contract, the pressure inside them increases, pushing the blood into the great arteries, the aorta and the pulmonary artery, respectively. An important fact is that when the ventricles contract, the blood is not pushed back into the atria, and when the ventricles relax, the blood stays in the great arteries and doesn't fall back into the ventricles. The question then is, how is this achieved? This is possible due to the presence of two sets of unidirectional valves, which will be described in greater detail later. For now, it's worth mentioning that they are grouped into two main categories: the atrioventricular and semilunar valves. The heart's valves, essential for directing blood flow, are supported by a critical structure known as the fibrous skeleton. This connective tissue framework plays a pivotal role, particularly for the atrioventricular valves, by providing the necessary support and stability. Made entirely of connective tissue, as we will see in greater detail later, the fibrous skeleton uniquely isolates the ventricles from the atria while also maintaining a connection between them. This provides us with an overview of the heart's chambers and their connections. Now we will proceed to examine more closely the first chamber, the right atrium, which receives deoxygenated blood from the body.